Are there any, just for people listening, that, I mean, they are curious, right? And they are, let's just make the assumption they're using AI in the way that 95% of the world is using it. Like, what would be some of the questions that you would leave with those people to just to think about? You know, you don't have to make a decision today, but just start asking some other questions and so forth, and work your way down so you can be on that train.
One technique I like to do is using AI as the extra person in the room, and having
Yeah.
debates with AI and having it just start talking to it about the future. That can be really powerful. If you just open up ChatGPT, you go to advanced voice mode and you give it context. First, I want you to interview me, ask me about my role, my job, my profession, my expertise, my thoughts about the future. Then I want you to act as an AI futurist, a strategist that has expertise in predicting the future of artificial intelligence. And I want you to sort of project forward 10 years and look back and have that sort of conversation with AI.
Yeah.
Can really be really eye opening. There's also, I mean, some of the talks that I give, like they're a bit old now. The AI wake up call. Most people are aware that this is a runaway train, but they're still not seeing how fast and how far this thing is going to go. So there's lots of great YouTube influencers that I just would start following and build some habits around, like at least 15, 30 minutes a day of learning and getting that exposure out there. There's some great
Yeah.
people to follow on YouTube. There's some great thought exercises you can have back and forth with AI. But yeah, eventually you'll have this sort of like aha moment. You'll have a hard time sleeping that night, and it's hard to turn back. It's kind of like the red pill, blue pill thing. Once you've had the pill, you're just like, wow, why am I still shuffling paper around here? And like
Yeah.
what I'm doing today has no meaning tomorrow.
Yeah. But I mean, I think if you're having the conversation, that's the key. Like, you've got to experiment, got to ask the questions, be curious, and then just use the tools to do so. And I'd also suggest talk to people from different industries and from different age demographics as well. Because I'm even seeing, like, the generation that's coming out of college and university right now. I can't remember who I was speaking to, but they were sharing, like, a lot of them are waking up and the first thing they do is they're checking in with their AI, like, just as like a personal coach in a way, because they know them so well. And it's like a bit of a pep talk, and like they're using it for their mind. I mean, and it seems like it's a, I don't want to overgeneralize, but I can't remember who I was speaking to, or who, maybe I heard it on a show, but they're like, this kind of the norm in that age demographic. Like, I did some interviews for my Substack, Better Questions, around. I just brought Einstein in and Rumi in one room and just said, "Hey guys, this is where we're at. This is kind of how I'm feeling, how the rest of the world's feeling. Like, if you guys were here in present day, I mean, you've lived through big shifts in society. How would you be approaching this? Like, what would be the questions you'd be asking?" And it all just kept coming back to, like, humanity. And Einstein for sure was around, like, he was channeling back, the fact that he made a decision at one point with the atomic bomb that he was, going to sign off on paperwork saying he supported the program. And he's like, I really regretted doing that. But then when all of that happened, he spent the rest of his, like, the tail end of his life being on committees for trying to regulate, arms and weapons and so forth. So, like, his whole message to me was, you guys are going to screw this up in some capacity, but there's also ways to make it better. I mean, this is when you're going this fast, like, there are ways to slow down and learn from the mistakes and so forth, which I found is interesting, given what he lived through and so forth.
Yeah, something you talked about there, about talking to different people. I was just yesterday I was speaking to a small group of Ace tech founders. I think they're startups around a million in tech in Vancouver. It was a room of 8 or 9 of us, and it was shocking the difference of that room. Like they were for sure in that 1 to 5%. Where I was sort of getting a feel for the room and sort of going around and seeing where their opportunities were to scale. And one guy was talking about like PR outreach, and I was asking a few questions, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we've automated this through Apollo, and we have the drip email automated. We chat them up with agents on this, and then agents do this, and the whole thing." And he just talked like nothing, and I was
Yeah.
like, why am I here? Like, and so there's
Yeah.
some people, like young people that are in tech, entrepreneurs that just get it. And I remember that, in entrepreneurship, they always say, surround yourself with like mentors, peers, get into an EO or YPO forum. Like those groups will lift you up. So you said talk to different people. I would say try to get at least, you want to have a friend with a truck. You want to have a friend with a boat. I think you want to have a friend
Yeah.
who's like going
Yeah.
off the deep end of AI, and listen to them. They're not as weird as you may think they are. There's a lot
Yeah.
you can learn from those people.
Yeah, I agree. Whenever you're working on something new, or if you wanna be a part of this, is the other part of it, like legitimately in building this ecosystem, like figure out where you wanna be living and who you wanna be around, and surround yourself, with those people. I mean, of course, with tech, like, we can live anywhere and everywhere, but I just had someone on the show recently from, True Ventures, and they're going pretty deep on AI, of course, and support early stage founders. And Tony Conrad was the venture capitalist, and he's like, it feels it doesn't even feel like the internet bubble in San Francisco right now. It's like a whole other world. Like, because I asked him, I said, there was a bit of people were leaving San Francisco not too long ago. He's like, oh no, it's if you're building something
They're
in
back.
AI, you want to be hanging out here. Like you can feel it. It's just it's in the energy. It's in the environment, and you can have pockets of that in other places in the world. And I think that's where like you want to surround yourself with those people wherever you are, right? Find your tribe and your hub. And then because then I think then that's a natural way not to be in the doom and gloom and feel like the world's just gonna, evaporate. Like you're with people that are growth minded, and asking the questions and trying to just see where this is gonna go, and like treating it as a more of an adventure than the opposite.
Yeah, and people have to recognize this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is like the equivalent of, I don't know, say back depending on your age when you first learned about the internet. It's not like, oh, I'm going to learn how to use Google Chrome, or I'm going to learn how to advertise on Facebook, or I'm going to learn Google Ads, or I'm going to learn about content, or I'm going to learn about social media, or SEO, or email, or e-commerce. Or like, if you look at all of the layers that evolved from internet and how deep it was, now imagine it's 1995 and you're about to
Yeah.
embark on that journey as a young professional. Would you be like, I'm just going to dive in and learn it all? Like, there's so many, to learn about IP addresses and network and security and SSL, and you want to learn like the 10-20% of a wide range of things so that you can understand the big picture. Then I think you need to zoom in on a specific specialty that's more narrow than you've ever imagined, because the field is expanding rapidly and you have to concentrate. So
Yeah.
if that's the type of learning that you are embarking on, if you're just saying like, oh, maybe there's more than ChatGPT like helping me with my essays, it's about habits. For me, it's about, if you can put anchor things in. Like for me, it's just like I brush my teeth in the morning and I'm doing squats, then that helps my mountain biking.
Yeah.
Anchor, like things have to be anchored, whether it's fitness or mental health or learning, and especially when it's a long journey like this. So I think like the more time that you can commit to it, the better. But from my experience, because there's so much to learn across such a vast new operating system, it has to be habitual, small, consistent
Yeah.
pieces over a longer time, anchored to things, and make it happen. And if you put in 30 minutes a day for the next 3 months, you will look back 3 months ago and be like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. And you'll probably change it to an hour a day.
Totally. Totally. Well, you're speaking that this is the same kind of philosophy I speak about with mental fitness. Like if you're trying to dial in the mind and try different practices, it's the micro shifts, it's the check in with yourself when your coffee's brewing, like anchor it to things that you're already doing, and just take small bites, and they add up.
Mental fitness is critical before you get into rapid change. So, what would you say to my people that don't know about your frameworks? Like, what are the top tips that you have for somebody that's about to embark on that crazy transformational journey that I'm selling?
Yeah. I I would keep it to one question, and it's just what's the one thing, the one non-negotiable that I can do that naturally slows down my mind and puts my mind in a quiet place where I can think and process. Everyone's got something. And I mean, you're from Squamish, you're doing squats so you can mountain bike. Like for me, the mountain bike is that thing as well. Like I feel fantastic there. Um, and I know when I'm at a limit, or it feels like I'm not, breathing properly, or I just feel like I'm running and so forth. I'm like, I just need to get on the bike, slow down, get outside and get into nature, and just reset. And it's amazing what just a bit of time like that will do. But everyone's got their thing, like whatever it is, you just identify what it is, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than that, right? Like you don't need a 7-day silent retreat to do that. Just figure out the one thing.
And I would say one thing to support that on the AI transformation side is this is a change management exercise as much. It's not about technology, it's about change and people and mindset. So even though there might be a really high ROI automation just around the corner, we don't usually start there when it's change management. We usually go in and ask the question, what is the one thing about your job that you absolutely hate doing? Or ask like
Yeah,
three things, and we automate some of those, because if you can take those off of your plate, that frees up some time for them to like slow down and follow more of those better mindset practices. So I think if you combine
totally.
AI to free up your time from the stuff you hate so that you can focus a bit more on some deeper thinking, that could really help prepare you for the massive change that's coming right around the corner.